What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Stochastic YouTube channel talking PGA Tour DraftKings Reignmakers. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. If this is your first time checking out this show, welcome. Great to have you here. Smash that like button as we get going. But most importantly, here are some free things for you. A free starter pack that they have going down below where you're going to get 8 golfers to utilize right away for DraftKings Reignmakers. They take NFTs, they take DFS, daily fantasy contests that you know and love, and they've combined them into a great format. We're putting 5 golfers together in a lineup. And on this show, I'm going to build out my single entry lineup because I always think that that's very, very important. Talks a little bit about the priority of who I like the most on a given week. It's a little bit different with Reignmakers than it is for a regular PGA contest because, well, sometimes you're looking for leverage, you're looking for ownership, you're thinking about things like that. And you're thinking about it in terms of Reignmakers too. But when you have cards that are playing, you use them that week. It's just simply having a priority, having a rating system, having grouped golfers for skill sets, things of that nature. So get your free starter pack. We can really kind of dive on in. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to jump over to Stochastic and then to it because why wouldn't you get 50% off your first week using promo code SCORE, jumping over there and then getting these projections that I'm pulling up for DraftKings Reignmakers PGA Tour. Yes, we have the projections for every single PGA Tour event that is on the Reignmaker schedule in terms of top player probability, top five probability, which matters big time because we're playing 5 golfers instead of 6, like you would have in a traditional DFS lineup. Sportsbook odds directly from DraftKings Sportsbook, and the make cut probability, where I'm going to get a little bit frisky with my guy. Actually, we're going to go to all, so we can always kind of group down here. But the day begins with Scotty Scheffler because he is available here in a lot of contests. I got to make sure. Let me withdraw. Don't look at the screen. Don't look at the screen. Don't look at the screen. Withdraw. See, I put in the work for you people. I put in the work, making sure that I knew what I was talking about, to make sure that I had different pricing tiers for what you're looking for, what your goals are for these large field tournaments, because we're going to build one of those after we get done with the single entry builds that I know and love here. But we're going to begin our day, our tour, with Scotty Scheffler. I do not have a Scotty Scheffler card. He is going for $46.90. I should probably have a Scotty Scheffler card, considering he's been the best player in the world for, I don't know, the entire season. Him and Jon Rahm, 1-2, going back and forth. After last week, Scotty Scheffler finishes T2, tied with Viktor Hovland there. Unbelievable stuff. But obviously, I do not have him in this lineup as it stands right now because, well, I don't have the card. You have utility for the rest of the season. So is it worth it? Probably. To be getting to him at $46.90, I should probably... I'm just hoping it gets priced down just a little bit more because this is kind of an interesting buy high spot. Not everything's a buy high spot for Scotty Scheffler and Jon Rahm this year, that's for sure. But my lineup is going to begin with Viktor Hovland. He also finished T2 last week at the PGA, and I love what we're seeing in terms of his ball striking numbers across the board. Gained over 10 with the irons last week. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking at for Colonial. Now, this golf course, the Charles Schwab this weekend, that's what we're focused on. We are looking at a golf course that's just over 7,000 yards, like truly one of the shorter golf courses on the PGA Tour in any, there are tons of golf courses you're playing on a daily basis. If you go to the tips, you're playing 7,200, 7,400, but this is positional golf. This is getting up and down from some very tight spots on some small greens. This is truly just smashing with the irons. Like, you need to smash with the irons, and glorified putting contest too, because again, distance, not of the premium here this week. But Viktor Hovland plays all kinds of golf courses well. He's a phenomenal buy. And then somebody who's a bomber generally, but Tony Finau, these irons have been ridiculous, redonkulous, if you will, for him as well. In terms of strokes gained approach, third amongst this field. Scotty Scheffler's first over the course of the last 50 rounds. Collin Morikawa, he's actually been first over the course of the 2022-2023 PGA Tour season. So there's that. And Tony Finau sitting at third behind them. Going to get very, very different here as we go along. But one more player that I think is just pretty clear-cut, Collin Morikawa. If you have him, I would contemplate putting him in the captain spot. I think we're going to do that with my next build as we go to the large field build. But this guy, just an iron specialist, went back to the saw putting grip. I like some of the changes we saw on the greens last week. That was going to be something I was paying attention to. He won both of his majors, the PGA Championship in San Francisco, the Open Championship. Can't remember where that was at off the top of my head, but definitely spiked with the putter. Just even seeing 0.5 strokes game with the putter is super exciting. Finished 26th, coming off of that Wells Fargo. The putter had been broken for a couple of weeks. Nice to see the saw back and working right from the get-go. Now, this is where we're going to start getting very, very different. Two players that I like a lot relative to what I think other people are. Tom Hoge is going to go in my single entry lineup this week. Again, I'm grouping a lot of iron players, and then one player that I'm kind of throwing in as a wrench for my single entry build. But Tom Hoge, again, just ripping this straight off the top of the boards in terms of strokes gained approach. Scheffler, Morikawa, Finau, Hoge. Tom Hoge is fourth in strokes gained approach amongst this field over his last 50 rounds. He hasn't been stellar like in the same way these other players have, for sure, but he's played some of these golf courses. I look at Pebble Beach specifically, the smallest green complexes on the PGA Tour, very strokes gained approach heavy when you start talking about the AT&T. But this is a little bit different here because, well, the irons haven't been as good of late, 2.1, 0.5 at the Byron Nelson. That's resulted in 58th and 43rd. But go to the Players' Championship. 8.9 with the irons, finished third. 14th at the Genesis, gained 5.6 with the putter, which is a little bit of an outlier for him. Not the best putter amongst everybody here that's in contention. He's had some spots where he's just gone crazy, crazy hot with that flat stick, but it's generally been the irons through and through for him. And I think that makes a nice addition to my single entry lineup. Getting very different. And now the last guy, and I bought his rare card as well because I'm going to utilize it in my rare single entry. But Denny McCarthy, I think, is a really nice buy currently, sitting at $5.50. Is that what it was for a low? Yeah, $5.50. This is a mid-range play. And, well, when we get to the large field, I mean, I'm definitely going to talk about another player that I like in that mid-range for you. But I think he makes for a very nice buy. Tom Hoge is actually more expensive, which I don't know if he's necessarily the guy I'd want between the two going forward. So if you're looking for just one, maybe you do find the cheaper one there in Denny McCarthy. But I'm trying to get a little bit different in these large. Well, I mean, it's still all large field tournament. It's just not as large as, well, the one we're going to talk about next, where we're trying to get very different to make some moves. I don't dance now. I make money moves. And I click on Denny McCarthy into my single entry lineup. So there you go. Hovland, Finau, Morikawa, and then the two differentiators for me, Hoge and McCarthy. You're going to play all your cards every single week that you're available to. It's just finding a priority or having grouped skill sets. And I think this one does a really good job. Irons. We could turn this into Scotty Scheffler. I would not bat an eye. And then you have one major piece of differentiation. Submit, my friends. All right. So that's the single entry. As we jump along, hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, and don't forget to check out these projections that we have going every single week at Stokastic. It'll do a great job of encapsulating. I mean, we'll talk about Sam Burns, of course, my guy, but Finau, Hovland, Scheffler, Fleetwood. I mean, these guys, there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 golfers that we have with more than a 2% chance at being the top player here. You'll want to have exposure to at least one of these in most lineups that you are making. This would be the ideal one. Get that starter pack. Start with Scotty Scheffler this week. All right, let's jump to the large fields. Now, when you go to the board here, you can play your starter onlys in this one. And, well, a lot of people do that. 6.2 unlimited, great stuff. You can also use those starter cards over here in the core contest. And that's what we're going to be talking about here. 12.5K entries already. We're probably looking at north of 15, maybe even 20,000 in this contest for the week. So we got to find some ways to get different. You also kind of want to have Scotty Scheffler if you can. That'd be great. Now, we've just had Hovland and the captain there. I'm going to go Morikawa, Hovland to start this one off. Now, Max Homa is not going to be a buy for me this week, but of course I have him, so I'm going to play him. But I want to give you an expensive player that I'm targeting, a mid-tier player I'm targeting, and a cheapie that I'm targeting. Now, the expensive player should come as no surprise to you if you follow any of my golf content. I think Sam Burns at $10.39 is undervalued. Now, he won the match play already. He's going to be playing in just about everything coming up here. I feel pretty confident that he is a great buy and somebody that's going to start playing better than we saw. Well, God forbid that he ends up being somebody who doesn't end up succeeding. Look at this, just 74.80. Nice 80 there at the PGA, my friend. Missed the cut here as well, but 71.71 at Quail Hollow. Such is life. Saw a decent enough Masters from him. He always plays well. This was the Valspar, 6th place there. I know this because all I do is play Sam Burns every week, and the match play doesn't have it listed because it wasn't a stroke play event. But trust me when I say he won that event, it was good stuff. But because of his placement there, there's a really strong possibility that come the FedEx Cup playoffs, he's there for the entire ride. And he's a Bermuda specialist. And he'll be able to play the FedEx St. Jude. And he's going to be able to play a number of these spots with Bermuda grass coming up to close it out. Goes to East Lake, Bermuda. A lot of opportunities for Sam Burns and his skill set to really shine. Games with the putter quite a bit as well. Can always get hot in that department. And hey, did I mention, won this event last year. So I'm not a big course history guy, but I think at $10, Sam Burns, still a really good buy on the expensive side. Plus, cheaper than Homa. Cheaper than Finau. Way cheaper than Finau. Way cheaper than Im. Fleetwood, about the same. I like Tommy Fleetwood as well. Don't get me wrong. But I got to ride with my guy, Sam Burns, who, sitting at $10, still very, very interested. To the mid-tier, I love getting KH Lee here. Talked about him last week. Did not disappoint with a T29. Ended up working out just fine in my single entry build. It was great. But KH Lee is just a player that I think is going to start popping sooner rather than later. I think we've been talking about him pretty frequently on this program. And, well, I should have more cards than just the one of him at this point in time. But, hey, nice to have him mix in there. He's just gaining in so many different departments. And I think is underrated as a really all-around good player. He's 28th in terms of strokes gain approach, 35th around the green. That's a great combination to have for this golf course. 19th in strokes gain tee to green amongst this field. So KH Lee, I think sitting right there at that number, it's him and it's also Siwoo. I'll give you another bonus one there, but you should know by now, I have a lot of Siwoo. He's 30 cents. I mean, I just love getting to Siwoo. I could very well click him and round out this lineup, but my favorite golfer buy this week. Sepp Straka is $2.55. I bought another one. Another one. Yeah, DJ Khaled over here. He likes golf. Terrible golf swing. But Sepp Straka sitting there, $2.55. What if I told you, ESPN 30 for 30, that Sepp Straka is 5th amongst this field in strokes gain approach over his last 50 rounds? Would you believe me? No, you probably wouldn't. I also got mocked. I got made fun of. I got chastised about the fact that I loved him at the PGA last week. Eric, how could you? Well, seemed like he profiled all right for me. And, well, I guess my model likes him more than most, but missed cut at the Wells Fargo, missed cut at the RBC Heritage. Didn't matter what your name is. When you gain 10.4 with the approach at the PGA, finishes 7th. Beautiful stuff. Also gained 4.2 at the Valero for a 22nd. 7.6 strokes gain approach at the Honda Golf Tournament. He won the previous year. 5th, though, this season at that number. 5.6 he gained with the Century Tournament Champions, even though he played like absolute dog doo-doo otherwise. The Austrian put another shrimp on the barbie. Sepp Straka is a phenomenal buy. Submit. I'm going to be adding him to a lot of these core contests, hoping he ends up being the guy who can spike. And then, again, just think he's underutilized. Think he'll be underutilized quite a bit this week. So check out all the core contests. I'm going to be jumping in one of these rares. I promise we'll discuss the single entry that I do for the rares every single week, because I do that a little bit differently than I do where I kind of do best available amongst my cards for a lot of the single entry stuff, and maybe find one point of deviation that I believe in, or a golfer to add to the skill sets that I'm building, or the tee time stack that I'm building. So that does it for this week. Get your free pack below here for Reignmakers. Check out everything that they offer in the marketplace. Start picking up golfers now, because you have only half the majors left. But we also have the FedEx Cup playoffs, and we have alternate events. And we have a lot of really cool niche little spots to be making some money in the Reignmaker streets coming up shortly. I'll be along for the entire ride with you. So until next week, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck at the Charles Schwab here at the Colonial this weekend.